What is up, everybody? Skratch coming up with another Raid Shadow Legends video. Welcome to the channel, everyone. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. We're a bit late with today's video. Today was just not my day. I don't have the green screen behind me, that I don't have the camera on because I'm at home with two massive boxes. I ordered a couple of things and they're broken. I gotta send them back, and honestly, it's just no more space around me at the moment. Definitely not my day today, guys. Hopefully you had a better one. In today's video, we're going to talk about potential champions that might come back into the meta, snipers, right? So we've seen Bloodgorged, Inquisitor Shamael. They perform pretty well in the current meta in Arena, and I don't want to focus only on the very high-end Platinum Arena, guys, where we're only fighting against Krakens and we need to have the craziest empowerment, etc. Just generally champions that might step slowly back into the meta. A couple of them could benefit from a bit of a buff and stuff like this, but that's kind of like what I want to focus on first. I'm going to start with the champions that I've currently used this reset. Hopefully this video will kind of like give you an insight and maybe help you prepare a bit for the next reset if you are into it. So basically, guys, I used Inquisitor Shamael, and I gotta say it, he is an absolute beast. Now, this champion, he always hit hard, right? Like, his skill ignores defense. If you give him enough buffs, he's gonna ignore 100% of the defense. You don't need to have a Savage on him or anything like that, so it's much easier for the majority of people to build this champion with pretty crazy stats because you're not tied to a Savage set, right? Then, the reason why he's so powerful in the current meta is mainly because of his passive. Each critical hit fills this champion's turn meter by 7.5. Whenever an ally receives a fear or a true fear debuff from an enemy, the skill will instantly remove the debuff and fill the ally's turn meter by 15%. Now, this is massive against Taras teams. Not only that, you're going to remove the fear, you're going to have another damage dealer to deal maybe with a Marichka, for example, or to deal with another tank. He can pretty much one-shot most of the champions. Sometimes he might not one-shot Taras because of his passive, depending what other champions are in the team. If there are more champions that bring in a damage reduction, like an Ursaga or maybe like a Harima, will be hard to one-shot Taras, but he will deal with the rest, don't you worry. So basically, not only that he does that, but think about it like this. You're going against the speed team, and you're not going to be able to outspeed it with your champion, right? You have a Warlord. Let's just say your Warlord is not going to be able to outspeed the opponent. And it might not be a massive speed difference. Well, put Warlord in the lead, use Inquisitor Shamael if Taras is on the opponent's team. The 15% turn meter will most probably ensure that you're going to outspeed the enemy with your lead champion. Keep that in mind. Now, of course, the lead champion doesn't need to be the champion that gets feared. It works in the exact same way it does in Hydra, so it's always the lead champion. So if the champion from position 3 is gonna get feared, the turn meter is still gonna go to the lead. So keep that in mind as well. That's kind of like a secret pro tip that I'm giving you guys today. He's a beast of a champion. Like, for me, it's kind of like a must to use him because of the fear and stuff. Maybe you guys are luckier, you have a Yumeko and you don't really have to worry about it, but still, he hits very hard, so it's definitely a pretty solid champion. Moving over to the next one that I really enjoyed using last reset and just throughout the week is no one else but Bloodgorged. So he ignores defense with this skill right here, attacks one enemy, ignores defense, and the good part about it is that enemies killed by this skill cannot be revived. Now let me put it like this. Bloodgorged, yeah, he has pretty decent base stats, not the most amazing ones. The things that are kind of like off with him are a bit the multiplier. So this is a 3.5 or a 3.6 multiplier if I'm not mistaken. If they will buff his multipliers a bit, he will definitely be coming back into the meta. Like, think about Marichka's constantly dying, reviving, somebody else revives her. Again, when she dies, she will revive again. If you manage to just one-shot her, put her to sleep directly with a Bloodgorged, you're going to block the revive. So it's pretty much game over. It's still not necessarily going to be as fast as you run a Georgid and you run a Baron, but it's fine because, how I mentioned, I'm not only focusing on the very high-end Platinum Arena. We're kind of like trying to prepare the most of you guys for the next reset, and just generally more teams like that will kind of like slowly appear in the lower tiers as well. So you're gonna get an idea of what options you have on the table. You might have some of these champions to help you out, you know what I mean? So if this will get a buff in multipliers, I feel like even a 0.7 to a 1 point would be absolutely amazing. This skill right here is fairly decent. If you have a bit of accuracy on him, he's gonna do some work. And this one attacks one enemy 2 times. Now, you gotta think about it like this. Yes, you're gonna find reaction, you're gonna find stone skin. You're not gonna wanna take the turn first. So you're gonna have to build pretty much every single one of these champions that we're discussing today a bit slower. So even if they have a 2-turn stone skin, yeah, you wait till that goes off and then you snipe. The fight is still gonna take you probably roughly 40, 60, 70 seconds, but it definitely moves towards that direction. Like, it's trending to have a higher time when we're farming teams in arena, you know. So is nothing wrong with that. Now, when we are talking about other similar champions like Bloodgorged, we have a Royal Huntsman. He's definitely pretty solid. He has better multipliers. He's max. The only problem is he doesn't bring anything else to the team. So in my opinion, I would not use Royal Huntsman unless I wouldn't have any better option. So this skill right here hits extremely hard. Definitely much harder than Bloodgorged's A3, but this skill doesn't block revive. And block revive is such a massive thing in the current meta. It's absolutely insane. That's why even champions like Folly could see a bit of a comeback. The problem is you need to kind of like find battery teams that are not very strong. You know, if they're tanky, Folly unfortunately is just not gonna be able to do anything. You have defense down in here, AoE, and of course he can place an increased attack on himself. Yes, you do have the attack aura. 38% is pretty big, but that's about it. He doesn't really bring anything else except that one strong hit, you know. And again, all these champions can be built on different sets, not on Savage, guys. That will make it much easier for a lot of you guys to build them with better stats to ensure that they deal tons and tons of damage. One thing to keep in mind, you know. Then, of course, we have no one else but Georgid. Now, probably some of you, Skratch, Georgid is not really a sniper. Well, he is kind of a sniper because attacks one enemy, will ignore pretty much everything, and he ignores defense too. So this kind of makes him a sniper in my opinion. Yes, you can grant an extra turn if you kill an enemy, and then you have another AoE skill. But Georgid is very powerful. I don't really need to go into a big detail about the champion because I'm pretty convinced that you already know how powerful Georgid can be. I feel like nothing else in the game in terms of snipers hits as hard at this skill that Georgid has. It's just absolutely nuts, man. When the passive procs, when Helm Smasher procs, is crazy. Now, the one difference is that you need to build Georgid in Savage. If you want to benefit the most out of this champion's kit, he needs Savage, even Cruel, just to make sure that if the passive doesn't proc, if Helm Smasher doesn't proc, you're still gonna ignore a big chunk of defense. It's still not gonna be 100% though. Moving over to the next champion, and yeah, Rotos is a must. Probably if you have a Rotos, you already built him. Like, it's kind of like a no-brainer, right? Super powerful champion. It's pretty good against the couple as well, against Marichka Taras. The only thing is he needs to get a bit of HP before he can block revive. Now, the good part about Rotos is that he has the passive, so he won't be able to get one shot. That makes a massive difference, guys, because you're going to be able to hit whatever champion you want from the enemy team, and even if the enemy team will counter-attack or anything like that with a single hit, he's just not going to get one shot. He's still going to stay alive, and that is very powerful. This skill right here used to be more powerful before. Now it only ignores 60% of the target's defense. So again, Rotos needs to be on Savage if you really want to make the most out of the champion. Talking about different champions. So Little Miss Annie. She hits super hard. Now I would love her to get a bit of a buff and just to block revive with one of the skills or something. So this skill right here attacks one enemy, will ignore 25% of the target's defense. If the target has higher defense than this champion, destroys the enemy max HP, and will repeat attack a second time if the target has both higher defense and higher max HP, which most probably in the current meta is gonna be pretty much with every single freaking team out there, because they're all gonna have higher defense and higher HP than a nuker, right? So she could potentially be a monster. She just really needs to have, man, a block revive. I feel like, yeah, snipers are great, but they really need to bring more utility. It's very similar with Royal Huntsman. She's gonna hit extremely hard. The fun part about it is that if she gets killed by somebody and you revive her, you know, she has the passive where, let me see, is it this one? No, it's this one. So when revived, attacks the enemy that killed this champion with the default skill. This can be nice, like you can slowly just pick up the enemies that killed you. Maybe you're not gonna get killed by the nuker, maybe you're gonna get touched by a Duchess or something when you're on super low HP and you're gonna die then. Revive, and maybe that A1 is gonna be powerful enough to do some serious damage, you know. All around, she's not a bad champion. She's not an S tier either. Multipliers are fairly decent, honestly. She has pretty good base attack. I just wish she will have a block revive, and man, she would definitely make it on my must use list 100%, because she hits pretty damn hard, and the passive is pretty fun as well. Then another champion is very powerful is Krutraxa. So I feel like single target champions might come in play, at least to kind of like deal with one of the enemy threats, and then clean up the rest with an AoE. This is, of course, if you have them available. So in Itwi, he's just not reliable enough. Like, we've been trying him out, testing him against tons of different teams, even against weak teams. He's just not performing as good. So the problem with him is his multipliers. He just doesn't hit hard enough. This skill should ignore either defense, 25% defense. Ignore 25% defense, remove that damn leech from there because nobody needs it, and increase the multipliers to 4.0, and he's gonna be a beast, because the passive enemy skill by this champion cannot be revived. True, this skill right here hits pretty good. Still not too crazy either. It's decent, but it's pretty hard to make a team around him. I just feel like, yeah, he definitely needs to have a bit of a buff in the near future as well. But then Krutraxa, how I mentioned, she's max, man. Like, she is an absolute beast, and she can potentially as well deal with the threat. Like, the main thing that you guys gotta keep in mind is, like, if you're going against Marichka, Taras, and the main threat in the team is not Taras. The main threat is Marichka. You gotta kill Marichka first, because then her passive is gonna activate. Nobody else is dead, she cannot revive nobody, and then you wipe the rest of the team as fast as possible before anyone can revive her if you're not able to block the revive. That's why single target snipers can come in play in the current meta, because you're gonna wanna just kill her as fast as possible and then clean up, you know. And if you're going with AoE attacks, you're most probably gonna kill other enemies on the team, and that's definitely not gonna be great. But this skill right here is very powerful. Attacks one enemy, has a 75% chance of placing a weakened debuff for 2 turns, has a 75% chance of removing 2 random buffs, which is definitely not interesting, but you use this and then you grant the extra turn and attacks one enemy 4 times, will ignore 50% of the enemy defense. This is very, very powerful. It's actually better than the A2 if you stay to think about it. A 4 hit with a Savage, a Cruel, Helm Smasher, this can be devastating. I remember last week I was attacking somebody who was protecting their Krutraxa with an Acrid, so I logged the team. Man, she was just melting my Duchess. She was just melting everything with the A1. Very, very nasty, actually. Super nasty, just thinking about it. So she's another good option in there. And we do have another epic that kind of like stands out a bit. And yeah, Faceless can ignore defense, but we're not going to talk about Faceless. We're actually going to talk about Gala Longbraids. Now, 3 years ago, guys, Gala Longbraid used to be my main arena nuker together with Bloodgorged. Them two together, they used to snipe pretty much everyone in the enemy team. Just one shot. And the thing with Gala Longbraids is that she can gain extra turn, extra hits, and that makes her even more powerful. Attacks one enemy 3 times. Each hit will ignore 25% of the target's defense. grants an extra turn if this champion has full HP after using the skill. So as long as she doesn't get damaged, she's gonna be able to obliterate. How I mentioned, remember, Stone Skin reaction, you gotta let the opponent to take a turn before you're throwing out your big plays. If no, don't come back complaining that single target champions are not working. Very, very important. The A2 attacks one enemy, will ignore 50% of the target's defense when attacking under a shield buff. So either you bring in another champion with shield in the team, either you're gonna go that extra mile and try to give her maybe a divine set, or maybe get the blood shield mastery or a blood shield accessory, and that can actually help you out because you're gonna open with this skill, extra turn if you manage to kill somebody, move into the A2, and then you have the A1, which again will ignore defense. Attack aura for all battles, and probably you guys saw Shine is using Gala Longbraids quite a bit, and he's been using it for the last few weeks, last couple of months maybe actually, together with Rotos. He didn't really have many other better nukers, so Gala Longbraids definitely made it on the list for him together with Rotos. Very powerful champion, man. Like, she hits so freaking hard. Let me know in the comments down below, guys, which one of these champions is your favorite sniper, which one of them you would like to use against the couple to kind of like deal with them, right? Georgid is very powerful. We kind of like know he might win the competition here in the comment section, but yeah, let me know which one is your favorite. Hopefully this video helped you out a bit to understand a couple of things that most probably will be happening in the current meta. It just takes a bit of time for most of the people to understand the full potential of some of the champions. I do hope that Bloodgorged, Innate with Bloodwind, and maybe Little Miss Annie will be getting a bit of a buff in the near future, because they could potentially become massive, guys. But that was all for this video. Much love. Appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'll catch you all soon in the next video. Peace.